beautiful evening to you. You're welcome to Sport Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Kingsley Manuel. Very happy to be here this evening to bring you up to speed with the latest revolving round the beautiful world of sport. We're going to take a look at the impressive performance of the Nigerian handball team in the under-18 men's championship, and of course we'll take a look at the latest as it concerns the UEFA Champions League results yesterday. There are also some matches today in the Europa League. We'll take a look at that. Manchester United going to be in action as well tonight. Can they get things done and dusted? We'll take a look at the Super Eagles AFCON qualifiers list as the interim manager of the side has released the names of players that will be, of course, in that encounter against Benin Republic and Rwanda. That promises to be an exciting one this evening. So we're on to sit tight as we have a lot to unravel this evening. We'll take a break. When we come back, of course, we'll bring you all that you need to know involving around the beautiful world of sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ST Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. Of course, I told you we have a lot for you on today's edition of the show. And on the show today, I have with me Mark. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Kingsley. It's been a mazzaling, week for us right here talking sport, and I'm very, very excited, to be on the show this evening.
All right, let's start things with handball this evening as Nigeria under-18 men's handball team were crowned champions of the IHF Trophy African Men's Continental Phase yesterday, following their 38-26 victory over Guinea in the final in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. In the final that was graced by top officials from the Ethiopian central government and officials of the Nigerian embassy led by Minister of the Embassy, Mr. Boko Ofio Mbo. Coach Emeka Namani's team started the match with purposefulness, and despite some avoidable turnovers, they still won their first half 31-14, and as well continued to put up a very impressive encounter in that one till they finally got that result. Of course, we saw. Michael, what do you make of the impressive performance of the under-18 men's handball team of Nigeria in this particular one?
I think for me, Kingsley, is very commendable what the handball team is doing. I think they've maintained that consistency over the last 2 years right now. I think for me, it looks as though this is one of the sports that we must also pay close attention when it has to do with developing the sport, proper, and also using it as a tool as well to hone other talents that are very, very good. Under 18, if you can have them, dominating. Don't forget, last time they were also crowned champion, and this time around they were able to defend the title that they won last time and successfully. It's a clear indication and a testament to the world and to Africa that indeed they have come to stay and they know what they are doing and have the onions. And for me, I think it is an impressive, for them to clinch that victory out there, coming top in that very one with an impeccable record in the tournament. So for me, I think it's a big congratulations to them. And for handball, there seems to be one of the most reliable teams in terms of sport right here in the country. I think they've shown administrative prowess, and you can't also forget the wrestling team as well. I think these are the two federation that you will say, yeah, I think they've been very, very dogged. They've been very, very consistent in terms of achieving the result on the court out there and also achieving the result administrative-wise, because it is one thing for you to achieve results, while on the court, while on the track, while on the pitch, and it is another thing as well for you to achieve positive results, in the administrative cadre of it. Sometimes you see that we have great talents, but the administration is always a problem. Yet, despite the administrative failures, some of these talents, they still go out there to bring laurels for us. So for me, we need to commend them for what they are doing. And if other sporting federations can also emulate what the handball federation is doing and the wrestling, I tell you, there will be an even development of sports in the country. And of course, you can not also forget to single out Aziz, who is one of the key players for this very tournament. And in the final, he won the most valuable player, to tell you that indeed he has been able to hone his talents and comb his skills to that apex where he was able to display his skills to the world. And I think for me it's a very big congratulations to them, and we hope that they continue in this very momentum going forward.
38-26 it ended in that particular encounter, and I tell you was such, of course, an impressive one for the team. Let's move on now to bring the latest coming from wrestling this evening. And of course, as the third Governor Dewey National Wrestling Classic gets underway, coaches and officials have been advised to update themselves with the latest rules about the sports. The above statement was made during the clinic and technical meeting. We saw a technical meeting, and of course was really an impressive one. Michael, what do you make of it? The wrestling, classic will be coming up very soon in Bayelsa, and coaches, of course, have been urged to upgrade themselves ahead of the wrestling championship.
I think every season or every year, sport is actually evolving. It's not a static thing where you say, let's maintain status quo. Every season you tend to remain where you are. Sport is evolving. Other new technological, advancement is coming in, and therefore you need to also upgrade yourself with the latest tools, with the latest skills, with the latest, rules that govern the games as well. And that is why it is very, very necessary for them to keep up to pace with the trend of, you will be lagging behind. And that is why it is very, very necessary that they continue to keep themselves abreast with the latest as it has to do with the world of wrestling art. And I tell you, if there is one man that we must give kudos in terms of his administrative prowess, since he left, active wrestling, I think it's no other person than Daniel Igali. He has been able to bring the wealth of experience during his 8 days while he was still very much active to bear. Not those ones that when they finish, it is done and dusted for them. What they just want to come and seek is a public office where they will maybe see it as a retirement benefit for them to come and chuckle in some money. But then, no, this man, if you see him, the action, the decision that he's taking, you will see that truly he has passion for the sport. He has passion for the development. And that is why Bayelsa State is the only state that you can beat your chest and say, yes, they have the wrestling equipment, they have the facility, and they are being encouraged morally, psychologically, physically, and financially, which is above all, to ensure that we continue to churn out talents that will continue to do the country proud. So for me, I think it is a nice one and great one. But my only worry or concern, Kingsley, is about the fact that this man that is doing a lot, talking about Daniel Igali, he has made it very clear that he's not going to run for another term in office. So the worry for me is, can we be able to see another Daniel Igali with same passion, with same commitment, with same attitude, with same objective and goal, which is to, unearth talents and to also give the younger one a platform for them to hone their talent and comb their skills. This is just the only worry that I have for me, because away from that, I think you say that wrestling, we are doing pretty well. Among other sports that we have across the country, you can single out wrestling in terms of their administrative prowess, in terms of their organizational structure, in terms of the way they are very close with their the key players, talking about the wrestlers in quotes. They are not detached from the ministry. They are not detached from the the man that sees the affair. Unlike some other sports that the only time that maybe the chairman of such ministry get to remember that there are certain players is when maybe when we are heading for any major competition. That is when you begin to say, okay, let us call them, let us gather. Some of them don't even know some of these key actors one-on-one. They have not met with them. They have not addressed. There is the confidence and happiness that comes with you seeing a chairman, a minister, one that is serving as the head man in a certain department that you are working for. There is this confidence that, oh, this man is so down to earth that he will relate with us. There and then, you get to express yourself. I mean, it gives you that liberty. It gives you that freedom that when you get to the pitch, to the track, you want to give your best because you know this man one-on-one and the man cares for you. He shows concern. But some, chairmen of different sporting ministries, sometimes they don't even know some of the, players in the sector. The only time is maybe, oh, we are heading for the World Cup, we are heading for the African Cup of Nations, we are heading for the African champion, whatever, and that is, oh, let us roll out the names and bring them. Let us just go to the camp and assemble. And that is the end of it. How do you intend this player to derive that, comfort of being at home to say, okay, we are going to fight, not just because of ourselves alone, but we want to prove this chairman that indeed, because he has been good to us, let us do this for ourselves, and let us do this for the chairman, let us do this for the minister. So for me, these are things, personal relationship truly matters. Because if you don't care for anybody, if you don't care for some of these people that go out there to do us proud, maybe that can only be the magic thing that can alter the whole situation. But when you show that concern and care, they will feel at home, they will know that indeed I'm valued. And they will go out there and deliver when it matters most. So for me, these are things that are primarily that you should be able to understand as a leader. So that you can foster a very good relationship with the key actors. You are in the administrative capacity. You are not in the pitch. They're where they should, they know where it pinches. And that is why you must be able to relate with them like father and son, so that you gain that confidence, so that whenever they step out there, they will be ready to give their all.
All right, the Technical Director of Nigerian Wrestling Federation, Ohake Damain, spoke on the necessity why coaches and officials should at all time abridge themselves with the rules. Haki, the main, advocated for officials to always shun complacency, as there is always room for improvement. The President of the Nigerian Wrestling Federation, Honorable Daniel Gali, in his remarks added that rules and guidelines are regularly reviewed based on the findings and recommendations from the previous steps. Gali maintained that officials should prioritize the most urgent and important issues, which are the rules and can be found on the United World Wrestling website or official magazine. Let's see how this one, of course, will pan out. We hope that, of course, this next edition of the Governor Duri Wrestling Classic will be an impressive one. Let's start away from that as we head down to tennis as a stand. Michael, really getting interesting, of course, in tennis at the moment. As Iga Swiatek, of course, we got to report this afternoon. She beats Daria Kasatkina in an impressive fashion. And now we're looking forward to get that result between Barbara Krejcikova and Coco Gauff this hour, so that we can actually, have that confidence if Iga Swiatek, of course, will be heading down to the next round of the competition. But so far, what do you make of her performance in the WTA finals?
Well, for Iga Swiatek, I think she gave it her last fight this afternoon. You and I were actually monitoring proceeding when that game was actually on. She started on a very good footing, taking the lead 2-1, but then fell in the third quarter of that very game to Barbara Krejcikova. She, as at the time where I actually followed up the game, it was 4-3 in favor of Barbara Krejcikova, but then Iga Swiatek was able to pull the string and turn the screw, to her own favor. She was able to clinch victory in that very one. But then it's still hanging on the balance whether, despite she pulling that, stunning victory, she's going to progress through, and that is why we'll be waiting on the wings to see how far the game of Coco Gauff is going to pan out, because that is going to be the determinant, issues whether Iga Swiatek will continue or not as it is. But I tell you, she has done her own part of the bargain for now, and she will continue to wait to see what comes up in the next game for her to know her fate. But I tell you, it wasn't an easy game. It was more like back and forth. But at the end of it all, she was able to clinch victory.
All right, so that game ended 6-1, 6-love after the WTA finals. But she faces an options way to see if she will qualify for the semi-finals. Now, Polish second seed Swiatek dismantled Kasatkina, and alternate who replaced the injured Jessica Pegula yesterday in only 51 minutes at the end of season events in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. However, Swiatek will be knocked out if Wimbledon champion Barbara Krejcikova beats Coco Gauff, who has already qualified later on today to reach the last four. Five-time major champion Iga Swiatek recently deposed as world #1 by Arina Sabalenka, beat Krejcikova and lost to Gauff in her first two group matches. Swiatek form has dipped in recent months with Wim Fissette, who has helped several players win Grand Slam titles, replacing Tomasz Wojciechowski as her coach 2 weeks ago. This is a new coach for Iga Swiatek, Michael. Will say she's still trying to get, to understand the tactics of this coach? Because talking about Fissette is a man who has done a lot, when it has to do with tennis. He's coached top tennis players.
Yeah.
So what do you make of her? What do you make of him and Iga Swiatek?
I think it's too early call to start assessing their togetherness as it is right now. But then, if you take a look at the credentials, the quality of the coach, talking about his center, you want to say, yeah, one of the best coaches we have in the game out there, having worked with some top players in the past out there. Coming up to link up with Iga Swiatek this time around, we'll just give them time to see what they can be able to bring to the table. But I tell you, for such a man that have possessed such a massive experience for many years right now, he should be able to know that he has been able to, read different attitudes of players and know where to, call it, a quit when the times come. And for me, Iga Swiatek has been very, very professional in her game, both on and off the court out there. We haven't had any issue of, off-court, controversy regarding her personality and all of that. So for such a, is a good player on and off the court, we also expect her to be in a very good terms with the new coach as it is right now. But like I said, I think it is only time will tell. Let's hope that they are going to work in synergy to achieve the aims and objective of Iga Swiatek, which is to at least continue to dominate the WTA for a very long time.
You know, what do you make of the WTA finals? Arina Sabalenka, she's already through. Kogov, we understand, already through as well at this point. What do you make of it? Arina Sabalenka, can she get this one? I think she was beaten by Elena Rybakina.
Yeah.
But courtesy of her performance, she has been able to seal her way as well. But do you think she is in that position of getting this one?
I think it's a very, very dicey question. When you get to this kind of stage in the competition, it's always very dicey. You can't actually stick at your neck and say, okay, this is my favorite player because of this and that. I think this player is going to, scale through, have a successful, outing in their next game. So I'll just keep my fingers crossed. Who of all people will even believe that Iga Swiatek will be relying on another player to see her through? I mean, if you were told, you would not believe, but then this is a part of the game that sometimes, it takes a prophet. Even prophets, sometimes they even get it wrong when they try to, prophesize about some of these games. In the past, we've seen it in different sports. In the past, where a certain prophet will come and prophesy that such team is going to win against, at the end of it all, it doesn't pan out that way. Not even prophet can also, predict accurately what is going to happen in the future. But then, I think for me, it's going to be a very keenly contested encounter. My only concern is about Cory Kokogov, who is already through. One of the first players, in fact, to book her, place. Now, the big question is, now that Cory Kokogov has already booked her place, will she show that strength again, to clinch victory, in today's game? Because I think for me, she might just be reserving her strength, and that we see Iga Swiatek being knocked out of the competition. But then, sometimes too, it doesn't work out that way because every player wants to be consistent, Cory Kokogov, my lady, might just be thinking about consistency and not about no resting, just to get herself ready for the next round of the competition. But in all, going back to your question, I think for me, I can't actually pinpoint any player and say this should be the favorite or this and this will be the favorite. It's going to be a keenly contested encounter. And it's going to boil down to, who wanted the most.
A keenly contested encounter, of course, we're looking forward to at this point in time in the WTA finals. But away from the WTA finals, let's talk football on the show this evening, as Mikael Lundstrom says he is committed to helping Lobby Stars make a positive impact in Nigerian Premier Football League this season. The Finnish was recently appointed head coach of the Makodi club, and Lundstrom was unveiled at a brief ceremony at the club's training ground on Tuesday. Now, the 60-year-old will work alongside the technical advisor of the club, Daniel Amokachi. Lobby Stars will entertain Abia Warriors in their next game on Saturday. That's this weekend. Michael, what do you make of this one? Lobby Stars beefing up their technical team for this season.
I think for me, it's a very big risk that they are taking this time around. Big risk in the sense that Lundstrom, how well does he understand the Nigerian Premier Football League? Experience-wise, in terms of coaching, you may want to give it to him because he has coached in some European teams. I've even coached in the United States of America. He has coached a certain African country. I don't know whether was it Zambia, but I know he has, tried his mettle in the African League before. This time around, it is the Nigerian Premier Football League. Now you ask yourself, what is it that Daniel Amokachi saw in the dugout on the touchline before he decided to retreat back into more of an administrative position other than being on the dugout? It is another question, because if it was that easy, if it was that rosy, if they had high hope of doing well, you know, I think he should stay in the dugout. But then the man is retreating back to more of administrative, you know, position as it is right now. Now pushing Lundstrom to the front seat of taking up the touchline or to be in the dugout. So, and that is why I'm saying that it's going to be a very, you know, dicey one. And for the team, you take a look at their standing in the Nigerian Premier Football League. They are not in a very good position. They have not had a very positive start to the league. Though you may want to say, yeah, just 10 games played so far, but then a journey of 1,000 miles begin with the steps. You need to start in a very positive note, and that is the only way you are going to tell the world or Nigerians that indeed I'm in to vie for the title. If not for contending for the title, but at least to finish within the mid-table at the end of the season. But you take a look at their position right now and what they are doing, their pattern of play. For me, I'm not very much convinced. I won't tell you a lie. I'm not convinced that this man can be able to turn things around for their good. But then, like I say, it is a trial that they are making, and it may work out for them, it may not work out for them, but then it is only time that we tell. Maybe when we get to match day 25, match day 28, match day 30, then we can start in a better position to begin to assess
As
this
if for
man.
match day 20. Yeah.
Maybe match day 20, that is being in charge of, maybe let's call it 9 or 10 games. That may not be good enough for we to assess him, because don't forget, 10 games has already gone by.
You don't have an excuse. It's match day 20 already in the MPFA. It doesn't matter how when you start.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So for me, it does not have an excuse. If Lobby Stars get relegated, his job, of course, might be at stake at this moment.
True.
So for me, I think he should just hit the ground running at the moment, because from what we're saying, nobody waits for you in the MPFL. Grab as much points as you can. So I think for me, he should just be on his toes.
True, he should be on his toes, but there are other factors that you need to also consider. This man, can he be able to play, you know, the politicking within the Nigerian Premier Football League? Can he be able to handle some of, you know, the tension or the pressure from home teams out there?
I think he will put him through.
Daniel Amokachi will put him through. What did he see in the war front that made him to retreat? That is a big question. You know, but then, that is not to say that I'm not wishing him well. I'm wishing him well. Of course, if he does well, it's going to be a plus to the league. Because if any team come to improve, to begin to challenge against some of these big teams, maybe you call it Rivers United, Enyimba, Rangers, you know, it's going to be a good one, just like we are seeing Remo Stars now pulling the strings, you know, squaring up shoulder against some of the traditional team. It is a plus to the league, and that is how our league will continue to grow. So if we see another man coming in behind to take the league by storm, then it is all for our own good.
All right, let's see how this one, of course, will pan out at the end of the day. Let's quickly take a look at another interesting issue in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Another MPFL coach is in trouble as it stands, because Ladan Boso has been given 2-game ultimatum to revive Bayelsa United. This was not the picture we saw when Ladan Boso took up this job, Michael.
I tell you, Ladan Boso, as it is right now, is in the bosom of maybe a threat of losing his job, as it is. They've actually struggled so far this season, and he has been given a too much ultimatum, you know, to see if he can be able to remedy the situation. But some coaches, they are good at churning out a positive result, especially when pressure is piling against them, you know, just to continue to, you know, retain that very job.
ocean to the land beyond the mountains. Through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people.
Welcome back, ST Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and of course, we're bringing the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sports. And it's time, of course, for me to bring the latest as it concerns the AFCON qualifiers. Super Eagles interim coach Osne Guavon has unveiled his squad for the upcoming 25 African Cup of Nations qualifying fixtures against the Republic and Rwanda. Guavon named 23 players at the squad for both games. Nasarawa United defender Victor Collins is the home base player in the list, and the Super Eagles will be up against Cheetahs. The Super Eagles will be up against Cheetahs of Benin Republic at the Felix Hope Botman Stadium, Abidjan, on Thursday, November 14th, and they will host the Amwa Avobi of Rwanda 4 days later at the Goslar Abi International Stadium. Michael, what do you make of the list? We understand in goal we have the likes of Stanley Nwabali, who plays for Chipa United, and we'll have Madu Koke, who also plays for Udinese in the Italian Serie A, and the man Amas Basuki, who plays straight down there in Ethiopia for Fasi Kename SC. What do you make of the players, that have been called up this time around by Osne Guavon?
I think for me, they are the usual suspects, especially the goalkeeping department, having the likes of Chief Stanley Nwabali, Amas Basoge, and the fine boy talking about Maduka Okoya. These are the usual, suspects. But taking a look at the list generally, for me, I think there is only one player that I'm finding it very difficult to, comprehend the reason behind his inclusion in that 23-man squad. And it's no other person than Sadiq Umar, who plays his trade for the La Liga outfit, talking about Real Sociedad. This man has not scored a single goal in the La Liga Serie A this season. Neither has he registered any assists, both in the La Liga or Europe or any other competition that Real Sociedad have played in. And that is why I said I'm finding it very difficult to comprehend his inclusion. There are other players that maybe, just maybe, because this game is not a game of consequences, and that is why maybe the coach just wanted to use it as an experiment. But even if you want to experiment, won't you look for other players that are doing pretty well in their different club side that have not gotten the opportunity or the invitation to don on the jersey of the Super Eagles, so that we'll see what they can bring to the table? While Joas Maja of West Brom Albion, though not playing the English Premier League, but then they are doing pretty well in the Championship. He has scored about 7 to 8 goals in 12 games played so far. You know, what about Terence Murphy, Gift Orban? These are names that they have not gotten any invitation to the Super Eagles. Why? Because of the plethora of a good squad that the Super Eagles, or good players in quote, that the Super Eagles has. You cannot invite, you know, thousands of players because we have lot and lot of talent. So this is the only concern that I'm seeing, or the only player that is included into that squad that I think for me wasn't necessary. Even if you want to experiment, like I said earlier, why not do that with players that are very, very active, players that are not bench warmers for their club side, so that you give them an opportunity and see what they bring to the table? Because for me, it's more like a waste of his law. Don't forget, Fisayo Dele Bashiru we are talking about, we are hailing today, the name you are hearing for Lazio, just is an opportunity that was given to him. Say that the stay of Alex Iwobi in the midfield, maybe his days is limited, as it is, right? He may get invitation, but he will sit on the bench if he does not up his game. And this is what happens when you are having, you know, players that are very good in the same position. Bring them in, let them come and compete, let them come and fight for the jersey. That is what happened during the 1994. That is what happened during the 1996. Bonfrijo will throw open the national team jersey. It's not maybe you claiming that, or you think that you are Lord of all. You can just walk into the national team and pick an automatic jersey. No, no. We must be able to give opportunities to other players that are not regular for the national team, especially when we are playing a match that doesn't have much consequences. This is where you can do your test run. Get 1 or 2 players, infuse them into the team, and let them blend. That brings a lot of competition or competitiveness within the squad. And every player will want to sit up, just like what we are seeing in the goalkeeping department right now. When Maduka Okoye wasn't doing well, it took just one call, an opportunity for Stanley Nwabali to come in. And he was filled with confidence. The coach then noticed that this man has what it takes. And gradually, that is how he get to bench the fine boy Maduka Okoye. And today, Maduka Okoye is in the form of his life. And we hear that the coach is even thinking of giving him a starting berth. This is what it means for you to have good players in one position. They will be jostling, competing to see who makes a regular shirt in a goal this season in all of the games. So to other players that are not regulars in the national team, in quote, so that when you get to see 2 or 3 of the new names, you can gradually integrate them into the national team. But away from that, I think the squad is okay. We can go with this and we can get the job done and dusted.
All right, let's see how it goes for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We told you that qualifiers will be coming up very, very soon. But away from that, Kylian Mbappe has been left out for the France squad for their upcoming UEFA Nations League matches against Israel and Italy after coach Didier Deschamps omitted the Real Madrid superstar from his list of players named today. It's the second successive France squad from which the national team captain has been absent after he also missed the October doubleheader against Israel and Belgium. Michael, what could be the reason for Mbappe's absence this time?
I think there is a mutual understanding between Kylian Mbappe camp and the coach talking about Didier Deschamps. But of course, Kylian Mbappe is gradually settling down at Real Madrid house. And of course, you take a look at the whole situation surrounding him right now. I think Kylian Mbappe needs time to focus and be able to cement his position, not just cementing his position, because there's no one contesting with him his position on that center forward right now, because he has been displaced by Vinicius Junior.
Hendrick?
Well, I do not think Hendrick is still a French player. They can just make a cameo appearance and give him 5 minutes. You cannot, for crying out loud, if you are the coach, if you are to beat Don Carlo Ancelotti right now and not Kingsley Emmanuel, will you have Kylian Mbappe in your squad and Hendrick, and you decide to bench Kylian Mbappe to start Hendrick In fact, by doing that alone, you are already putting yourself in a sword against the fans and even against the Madrid authority. Don't forget that even if Kylian Mbappe does not deliver week in, week out, his presence in the pitch of play matters a lot for, you know, the Los Blancos family, because it brings a whole lot of commercial value to the club, and that is why they always assemble what we call the Galacticos. You know, so for me, I think it's a mutual understanding between the coach Didier Deschamps. He want this young man to settle down amidst the rumors or the controversies that is presently rocking Madrid, that for the fact that Kylian Mbappe is not playing his rightful left-wing position, it looks as though he's struggling, you know, and all of that. But then I think he wants to give him time so that he will take out his time and settle properly. That is no problem at all. We know Kylian Mbappe is a very good player any day, any time. Donning on the jersey of the Les Blues, he gives his best any day, so there's no problem to that.
No cause for alarm, according to Michael. We'll see how this one, of course, will pan out in the coming days. But let's bring you some results we saw yesterday in the UEFA Champions League as Club Brugge beat Aston Villa by 1-0. Shakhtar Donetsk beat Young Boys by 2-1. Bayern Munich beat Benfica by 1-0. And Vesta, they lost to Barcelona by 5-2. Feyenoord lost to Salzburg by 3-1. Inter Milan beat Arsenal by 1-0. PSG lost to Atletico Madrid 2-1. Sparta Prague lost to Brest by 2-1. Stuttgart, they lost to Atalanta 2-0 in that encounter. Michael, what do you make of it? Arsenal, they continue to struggle because talking about the struggle, we've seen it in the Premier League and now in the UEFA Champions League. Arsenal, of course, were one of the sides that were tipped to put up a very impressive performance this season, especially when you take a look at the way last season panned out for them. But the season hasn't even gone that very far, and they are really, really struggling at the moment.
Really struggling at the moment, you want to say, losing their grip in the EPL position as it is right now because of the struggle that they've actually suffered since you know, Martin Odegaard got that injury. It's been a bit of a struggle for Arsenal Football Club. But I think for me, they are not even helped by letting Edu, who is the sporting director, to leave. This has further even compounded their woes as it is right now. And I think for me, Arsenal this season, the only problem that I think that Arsenal has for this season is not just this season alone, but last season as well, squad depth. Squad depth is the only challenge with Arsenal, because whenever any of their key players get injured, the next thing that will come to your mind is, who is that like-to-like replacement? And you check through, there is none. If, for example, Declan Rice got injured right now in the defensive midfield of Arsenal, who is that like-to-like replacement for Declan Rice? It's not there. If Bukayo Saka get injured, who is that like-to-like replacement that you can substitute, you know, the man talking about Bukayo Saka? Martin Odegaard out injured. They are finding it very difficult to find a replacement that can play seamlessly the way Martin Odegaard gives those passes and turn the screw within the midfield. It's been very difficult, and it is crystal clear the reason why they are struggling. So for me, squad depth is the greatest problem of Arsenal and Mikel Arteta. I thought that maybe last season they had learnt their lesson. Don't forget, they lose grip, especially in the last season title hunt, because at some point they had a little challenges when the injury crept in, and that is how they began to drop in points. And that is how the season panned out. They end up not winning the league last season. So I thought maybe they should have learned from the last season lesson by making sure that they beef up the squad with like-to-like replacement for players. But they did not do that. They only got to the market, bring in Calafiori. Calafiori in the left wing, is he really the problem for Arsenal? Of course, not the problem. They are bringing in the defense. Arsenal was one of the best teams in terms of defensive play because they conceded less goals in the Premier League last season. So this is the real problem for Arsenal as it looks right now. They'll be hosting Chelsea Football Club this weekend, another big clash where Mikel Arteta is going to also test his water to see if it actually has been mixed up with some sort of spirit, or is it still a clean water. Can he draw from the pool of his armory to use and gun down Chelsea come this weekend? It's a very big problem, and I'm very worried because if you take a look at their sitting in the UEFA Champions League standing, 12th position right now, just 7 points to show after 4 games. And don't forget that it is only 8 teams that will qualify automatically for the round of 16 in the UEFA Champions League. Some of the big boys are actually struggling in the UEFA Champions League, not Arsenal alone. But then the case with Arsenal is quite different because every season they always come close. And at the end of it all, they will tell you, let's go again, we'll go again next season. How long will you continue to go again?
Okay. All right, let's see how it goes. But tonight we'll see some Europa League matches as Manchester United will be national against Polka Salonika, and last year against Porto, Ajax against Maccabi Tahib, AZ Akma against Fenerbahce, Nice against Twente, Galatasaray against Tottenham Hotspur, Frankfurt will be national against Slava Prague. Michael, Manchester United, they are back again. Don't forget, they've not won any game in the Europa League. They've played 3 and they've not been able to get all 3 points in any of those games. Van Nistelrooy, the man on the touchline tonight for Manchester United, you see him getting all 3 points.
Well, it's a big question. Van Nistelrooy, can he be able to destroy, their opponent tonight? It's a very big question, especially looking at their last game against Chelsea, playing at home, where many thought maybe, with the Van Nistelrooy influence, they are going to dismantle Chelsea, especially playing at the Theatre of Dream.